This is how we're gonna do it. Much better, much better. To see this type of interest in arm wrestling is amazing. To see this many people out here just to come out and compete. A lot of you guys may not know me or know my history. I started this almost 32 years ago, 1990, in a small county fair back in Arkansas. I was a senior in high school. I could pretty much beat everybody in school. And there was a guy at the cafeteria table. They said he was second in the state. I went and beat him. I should go to this tournament. That was almost 32 years ago. So that was a small county fair. To know that it's brought me all the way over here to India to see you guys have an amazing ranking event tomorrow. All my wildest dreams come true. It's amazing. A little bit of what I want to talk about in regards to arm wrestling. So much of this sport for so long has not been treated as a professional sport. People think it's a hobby. It's just something you do. Or even my wife, Rebecca, when we first met, she's like, that's the thing you did past grade school. Like, I was like, I'm kind of a big deal. She says I said that. I have a shirt that says that. I'm not 100% sure I said that. But I've always treated myself like a professional athlete. And that's what I see here today. I see people approaching this sport as a profession, as a professional athletic sport. What these guys are doing in Pro Panja League to making this thing, to have this, the support from the government. You guys are onto something really special, but I want to start that off with treating yourself like an athlete means good nutrition. It means you have to put the same amount of time and effort into this as other sports. Now, it may not have the payoff right now that soccer or football, that other cricket, whatever it is, that is your primary sport. But if you put the passion into this, you can be as good as you want to be. I was just a small town kid who started out 32 years ago, and now I've won 23 world titles and traveled all over the world. But all that being said, I could not have done it had I just took a hobby approach. Had I just, I'm just going to do it for fun and just play with my buddies. I took a very professional approach. So that involves my training and my nutrition. So each day I want to make sure that I get enough protein because I have to work out, right? People ask me, how often do you train for arm wrestling? I train every single day. Hands, wrists, and forearms. Hands, wrists, and forearms are the most important thing. And a lot of people wonder, how can you train every single day? For me, arm wrestling is like a job. So if you are a laborer, if you're a mechanic or a carpenter or masonry or whatever, you can't work today and then say, well, I'm not going to work tomorrow because my hands and wrists are tired, right? You have to keep working those muscles. Same thing with arm wrestling. Arm wrestling is about tendon and ligament strength. Yes, you want to keep training the gym, you want to train your biceps, your back, your chest, your shoulders, just like every other body part. But your hands, wrist, and forearm can be worked daily. So if you want it, it's going to be consistent, hard work every single day that's going to make you a champion. People get into this sport and they think, well, I have this strength background or I have this. It's not going to happen overnight. You might be able to beat your buddies, but to be the best in your region, the best in your country, the best in the world, it takes consistent, hard work. So, what, you got any questions, Tony? Because you look at me like you just really love me or something. Okay, cool. I got one fan right there. All right, so outside of just treating yourself like an athlete in training, the hand, wrist, and forearm being the most important aspect. So hands, wrist, and forearm, very important. Spinning handles, sparring with one another. How often do you guys get together and train? How often do you arm wrestle? Once per week? Big team? Every day? As much as possible? Okay, so that's 3 times a week? Okay, so when I was a kid, people asked me, how do you get better at arm wrestling? And I said, every single time someone wants to arm wrestle you, you arm wrestle. Because no one has the same hand and nobody's going to pull the same. So the more people that you can compete against, the better you're going to get. If you compete against the same person over and over, you're going to get very good against that person. You want to train against as many people as possible. So if you're out and you're about, try to get as many people to arm wrestle as you possibly can. So obviously the key is tendons, ligaments. The more you arm wrestle, the stronger your tendons and ligaments are going to be. Very much. Joints are part, like, there's no people like, oh, you lock your arm. Well, you can't lock your arm, right? But you can get very strong tendons and ligaments and support. But yeah, so who all has, you ordered handles. Who here trains with spinning handles? Spinning handles? Okay, yeah. So that's something that is, arm wrestlers are very creative. We didn't have all that stuff when I was young, but now if you have a table and you have a pulley system, if you have any type of spinning handle, you can create that resistance where even if you don't have someone to train with, you can get on that handle and train. Who trains with bands? Bands? Okay. Resistance bands. Resistance bands are amazing, and they're also two-purpose or twofold. One, if you're training by yourself, you can hook up a band anywhere around your table. But if you're also the stronger person in practice, like you look like you're pretty strong. If you're the strongest guy in practice, pull your opponent with a band. Yeah, hook a band around the table, hook a band around their body. Because what happens is, if you're the strongest person in training, like this guy here, super strong hand, if you're the strongest person in training, you get used to letting everyone hit on you, right? So, and often there's a lot of different people who train differently than me. I'm a guy who trains in practice exactly how I'm gonna compete. So how many people have watched drag racing? Like drag racing, right? So would you ever take your car to the track and when that light turns green, just barely push on the gas? No, you're gonna nail it, right? So I'm a believer that you should do ready-goes in practice. A lot of people don't think you should do ready-goes. I'm a big believer that you should do ready-goes because you want to practice how you're going to compete. So if you're the strongest person, huh? Good response. Go ahead.
Hello, thank you so much for coming here,
Yes,
sir. Sir, I would like to ask one new thing. When we start arm wrestling, okay. So what's the most crucial, or what we can say, what is the most essential part? Hand control or just go with the flow?
Okay, the most essential part is following the rules and not covering the knuckle. Yes. So I'm going to tell you this. That's a huge essential part. Because if you practice that, you're going to be really good at practice.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, I've been around this forever. People will get the crazy, and a lot of it is WAL. I'm the WAL champ. I can't say a lot about it, but they have created some bad habits. People will get here and they'll this high, and they'll want everything, and then they're really good at practice. And then they go to a tournament, and the referee puts their knuckles down, and somehow they think they got cheated.
Okay, so what about after ready go?
Okay, so first thing, always show your knuckle. The most important thing for me is hand control. If you can control the hand, you can control the match, right? So in my opinion, arm wrestling is a tug of war. A lot of people think arm wrestling is pushing. To me, arm wrestling is relentless. Like, I want to pull you to, hold it, like, close to my face. All right, so the most important thing for me in arm wrestling, this is just me specifically. When they say go, I don't want to go here, I don't want to get touched on the pad, but I want to control, give me your hand. On go, I want to pull you to me so that if the match stops, I'm controlling the center of the table. From here, you will eventually have to make an offensive move. You have to adjust towards me, and then I'll be able to take your wrist. So I just want to control this. Back. All right, so on go, I want to pull straight back to control the center of the table. I don't care so much what happens from side to side, as long as when they say go and the match stops, I'm not on your side of the table. As long as I'm here, the match is even, and it comes down to who's the better arm wrestler, right? Who can counter better. So, okay, so who here plays tennis? Does anybody play tennis? Badminton. I don't know if badminton's gonna have the same effect, but we're gonna pretend like it does. Okay, so in tennis, table tennis, if you can return the serve, right? So the hardest part of the game is returning the serve. And then it's a battle. The hardest part of the match is stopping the match. When they say go, stop the match. That's your entire objective. I mean, if outside of winning on go, you just gotta not get beat on go. Does that make sense? Yes. Do not get beat on go. That's the most important thing, because then it comes down to who wants to win more. I mean, it gives you a fighting chance. Now, if you can get that speed and just smash everybody, that's amazing. Go ahead.
Sir, you said that consistency is the key. So if I have to practice speed, so should I practice with a stronger opponent, ready go 100 to 100 times, or should I practice with resistance band?
I would always practice with someone. Okay. So if you're the stronger person, use the person and resistance band.
The resistance band should be on the other person's hand.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
And the reason being, like I was just saying, that's what I was trying to get to a minute ago. If you're the strongest person and you're at practice and you're letting everyone hit you, you get used to ready, go, boom.
One more thing I want to ask, can I come?
Yeah.
So you said that hand control is most important, but if someone is good in jerk, in referee grip, so in referee grip hand control is not that possible, so we can jerk, so which is better, hand control or jerk?
Are you saying hand control or jerk?
Yeah, in referee grip.
Okay. So anytime you can walk your hand is great, but you want to maintain height and pronation, right? Unless you're an inside forward, right? But
Jerk plus hand control, you are saying.
I'm very confused what jerk means because I've never used that term. Hit.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So if you can flash pin them, great. But normally you had to get some sort of control to do that. So I'm not saying only worry about control. If you can pin them, that saves your arm. It makes it that much easier, right? Go ahead, sir.
I just want to know, how do you use your lats while arm wrestling?
How do you use your lats?
Yeah.
I grab a hold of your hand, tighten up, and I pull you straight back. That's all my lats.
How do you use your, and then your deltoids?
Okay, so I'm not going to use your deltoids alone. I can't show you how you're going to use your deltoids, but you're going to use your rear delt when you apply back pressure. Side delt when you're shoving sideways. You can all this get, if you're not, your entire body is not sore the next day, you did it wrong. People want to know what it takes to become an unbeatable arm wrestler. There are two things.
Do they want to know?
Do you guys want to know what it takes to become an unbeatable arm wrestler?
I don't think so.
I guess not.
I gotta hear more.
I think they need to be more excited, right? Let's hear it again. You guys want to know what it takes to be an unbeatable arm wrestler? Yeah, those guys aren't interested at all. They're not interested. All right, here we go. I'm going to tell you anyway. Despite these folks. All right, I got you, honey. So, what you want is a hand that cannot be opened, right? So if you can create a hand that is strong enough that no one can top roll out of it, you're never going to be top roll. Right? Make sense? What's up, buddy? Good to see you. Come on over here real quick. Nice to see you, bro. Good deal. All right, so a hand that can't be opened and up pressure or back pressure that can't be top rolled, right? A hand that can't be opened and up pressure that can't be hooked, right? So all I have to do is have enough up pressure where you can't hook me and enough hand where you can't top roll me, and it's impossible to beat me. Now, there may only be one person who's got strong enough to do that, and that would be Levon. Because currently, right now, no one's top rolling, and I haven't seen anybody hooking. So, but he's exactly. He has a hand that cannot be opened, and back pressure that can't be matched. So the key focal points are always going to be your hand and wrist. You want to make sure your wrist is strong enough to where it doesn't get compromised, and your lat and your back and your bicep strong enough to where no one can turn you into a hook, right? So if you have enough of this, you're not getting turned that way. So the key is up pressure, back pressure, and a hand that can't be open. But what do you get? How many guys, or how many competitors, male, female, whatever, after a tournament, their arms hurt really bad for a while? Show of hands. Arms hurt really bad for a while. So for the last 30 years, this is what I do the very next day after a tournament. It hurts really bad, but I go grab a hold of some dumbbells. They're a little bit lighter than normal, and I start doing repetitions with them. High volume bicep training the day after you arm wrestle gets blood into the area to heal the damaged tissue. Blood heals damaged tissue. So the quicker you get blood into the damaged area, the faster your healing is going to start, the quicker you can start training again. I can compete in a professional event on Saturday, do biceps, high volume on Sunday, and go back to max effort bench on Monday. And it's all because, now the first, you're going to do about 150 reps. You're going to do 5 sets of 30 reps. Those first 3 sets of 30 are excruciating. But by the time you get to that third round, it feels much better, much better. So after you guys do that, I highly recommend ice. I will take a sink and I'll put ice in it, and I'll bury my arm from my wrist to my shoulder into a sink full of ice. About 15 minutes, it goes numb, hurts really bad, it's really painful. When you pull it out, you have your lovely wife dry your arm off, and then you rub it down with icy hot or some sort of. Okay, so I don't use hot water. Epsom salt, hot water, yes. That's afterwards. That will be after the fact. I'm gonna get this thing so cold that it hurts. Then I'm gonna dry it off, and I'm gonna rub it really hard with some sort of heating rub, like really deep rub. And then you wrap it really, really tight in a towel. And about 20 minutes later, your arm feels brand new. It's the most amazing thing. And I've been doing that for 30 years. And I've got really messed up elbows. So if it works for me, it will work for you. What other questions we got here, sweetheart? We talked about recovery, treat yourself like an athlete. Anything specific? Yeah. Hey, man. I put you on the spot.
Are you guys enjoying this information? Yeah. So he talked about how to get the unbeatable arm, all right? He said that you needed a hand that can't be opened and back pressure that cannot be matched. He talked about how to develop that hand strength. You talked about some spinning handles.
Spinning handles, wrist rollers.
What do you like best?
Okay, so a lot of people will tell me, well, they can squeeze a number 3 or a number 4 gripper. To me, squeezing strength is not that important in arm wrestling. Clamping strength. As soon as you try to squeeze something really heavy, when you go to squeeze it, your knuckles go past your wrist. An arm wrestler does not want to be strong right here. They want to be strong from here this way. But if you can clamp something, thicker handles that you clamp with your fingers, clamping strength is what you want to develop. I've never seen anybody grab the hook of my hand and squeeze it and be effective. If you can reach around the back of my hand and clamp it, that's very effective. The squeezing strength is not that important. So for me, gripping, using heavy grippers, is really just for your ego. If you want to do it to get a strong handshake, great. But if you want to do it to develop arm wrestling, take a lighter gripper and squeeze your hand, flex your forearm, and then open and close your hand with the gripper. Now it's working bottom fingers, pinky, ring finger, all your tendons, your ligaments. So if you can get a lighter gripper, get like this and just flex it like that for reps. You want to do high reps. I'll normally do 5 sets of 50 every day. I'll be doing cardio, bounce around the room, and I'll just grab a gripper, knock out 50 reps like that, switch hands, 50 reps. The forearm pump's unbelievable. A lot of things that I do revolve around getting as much blood in the area as possible.
How many of you are in the sport less than 3 years? Less than 3 years. So everybody else is longer than that? Okay, how about less than 1 year? Who's brand new? All right. How many of you thought arm wrestling was all about the arm? So this is a big arm guy right there. So this is a very smart group. You know that it's actually a full body sport, like Michael was talking about. But it all starts in the hand. He told me early on, when he started training me, by the way, I didn't even know that arm wrestling was a thing like he told you. And when he started training me, he said you got to do something to make that hand strong, which is why he's going over the gripper, why he's going over the spinning handles. Because in arm wrestling, you know where your hand goes, your arm usually follows. But after that, he was talking about back pressure. And that is the lats that someone was asking about. That's these big back muscles back here. My lats are probably bigger than a lot of your biceps. Okay.
Of course they are. That's a bigger muscle group.
But I'm a chick.
Oh yeah, you are a chick.
I'm talking about those dudes up there.
The big arm guy.
Yeah, the big arm guy. My lat's bigger than that. Yeah. And that's because he put me on pulleys early on. Well, I was a gymnast too, but that's neither here nor there.
Different topic.
Yes, so he put me on pulleys early on, and those pulleys aren't normal pulleys. What did you do special to those to also work with my hand?
Well, we also will get like the country crusher, any type of dual spinning handle, so that when you're working your back, which is the largest muscle you're going to use in arm wrestling, you want to be working your hand and wrist at the same time. The reason the back, I said arm wrestling is a tug of war, it's a pulling sport. The back's a very important muscle, but it's only as good as your hand and wrist. If you cannot support the strength your back has, your hand, when you pull your hand and wrist will just open up. So you want to develop a lot of cupping strength, and we do that through the spinning handle training.
So how many of you have a spinning handle of some sort, whether you made it yourself, ordered it, or you use your buddies? Gotta get some more spinning handles in you guys' hands. I gotta tell you what, I think my dad Larry made one with some sort of like
PVC pipe.
PVC pipe.
Todd Hutchins did too. Todd Hutchins, go check out Todd Hutchins on YouTube. All kinds of good side pressure, back pressure training.
Right, and these spinning handles, you can throw in your gym bag and you can take to the gym with you and just unhook their stuff and hook yours up. Work your back, work your hand at the same time.
Right. So outside of arm wrestling training, recovery, mindset. The mindset to get ready to arm wrestle. So much of this sport, and most sports, to me, is mental. You have to believe you're there to compete. I've been nicknamed Monster Michael Todd for probably 15 years or so, but there was always this different person. I would go up to the table and I would be nervous, and it still happens today. It's whether or not I know that I belong to be on that table. Whoever my opponent is, doesn't matter how hard I train, I have to know that I belong, and I'm nervous until that first ready go. Until I hear that first ready go, and I'm like, well, maybe I'll retire, maybe this is the last one, maybe this is it. But as soon as I slip in the center of the table, and I know I deserve to be there, that's when the monster takes over. It's a different person, it's a different belief, it's a different confidence. And so much of that mindset comes from just knowing that you've done the work. Consistency, hard work. You don't become successful just one day, and you don't fail in one day. You have a success today, you make it through the day, you did your training there, you're supposed to do, you ate right, you do another one of those tomorrow. You go to bed at night feeling like success, you wake up tomorrow, and you know one more day closer to reaching your goal. Everything that you're going to do to achieve that championship status or whatever, as much as it is physical, it's equally as much mental. So the mental preparation, what you say, you look at me.
No, I love it.
I'm lovable. But yeah, so guys, look at this thing. If you want to take this sport serious, and apparently everyone that here that looks like you do, you have to be ready mentally just as much physically. And that means enjoy it. Don't let the experience pass you by. Don't let the nerves get to you too much. Get up here, shake your opponent's hand. When they say go, go as hard as you can. Afterwards, show good sportsmanship and learn from your losses. This is something that actually happened to me recently that I had forgotten about. What it felt like to lose. I had not felt that in a very long time, right?
You got it, Todd, just a few times.
A couple of times I've had that experience. I don't like it. But you learn from those losses, right? So when you get up here, it doesn't matter how good you are. Someone's going to win, someone's going to lose. And you got to make sure that this is not your entire identity. If it's all wrapped up in winning, why are you doing it? Because eventually you're going to lose and you're going to want to quit. But if you're doing it for the love of the sport, to be better, to be a better version of you, obviously you want to have someone to compete against. You want to have a goal. But my goal is to always be better than I was. And to be better tomorrow than I am today. Andre Pushkar was probably my biggest, he wasn't even adversary.
Benchmark.
He was my benchmark. He was the reason that I trained so hard. And losing him in 2018 almost ended my competitive career. Because I thought our story had a lot of chapters left. Like I felt like we were going to compete until my grandkids were pulling his kid. I just knew we had a lot of time left. And losing him, I felt the only way I could honor him was to go out and just keep training, keep pushing, keep working. And that's what you're going to find in this sport. It's an amazing sport. You can have the highest highs, very few lows. But what you're going to get is a family. You're gonna find people that you will be friends with for the rest of your life. Whether they're local here or they're across the world, over the United States or they're Europe or whatever. This is just a big family reunion getting together on wrestling. And we're gonna have a good time. I don't really have a whole lot. What else you got, man?
Well, actually, just leave it on that. Leave them with this thought. This is in the words of one of your recent competitors, Todd Hutchins. You all know who Todd Zilla is?
That's way too exciting. Way too much exciting.
Yes, Todd Zilla. Michael was talking about, you know, your whole identity cannot be tied to the result of this table, right? It cannot be tied to the win. Todd Zilla says your battle cannot be about the winning. It has to be about excellence. So every time you get on the table, your goal is to seek excellence. Every time you go into training, your goal is to seek excellence. That way it doesn't stop with the result of the table. If you did what you came to do, you were excellent, the result is the result. You leave and you continue in excellence. That's what we're doing.
I actually like that quite a bit. I guess I've never heard Todd say that. Was that like a video that you got a special conversation I didn't know about?
Baby, I love you, but you don't hear anything unless it comes out of your own mouth.
That could be it. That could be it. But guys, very thankful to be here. I'm excited to watch everyone compete. Happy after this is over, get on the table, pull with as many people as possible. I think we're gonna have a great time. It's an amazing venue. Let's give a shout out to these guys for putting together such an amazing event. That was great.
Now, has there already been competition happen today? No, so it's all tomorrow and all Sunday? Okay, so even though I said, you know, it's not about the winning, we do know a little bit it's about the winning. Who's winning tomorrow?
Well, how many winners we got in the house? All right, these guys are brand new. They're taking everybody out.
Okay,
we
let
got
me
the big arm
ask
guy.
you, who came to win?
Oh, that guy's got a big arm too.
Just let me hear you.
I need a little bit more excitement. There's got to be more winners in the house than that.
Don't come to win. All right. Well, I at least want to see some. I want to see some good wars. Okay, you all leave it on the table, like Michael said, and let's be sure you're gonna win. Okay, I'm watching you. All right. So let's leave it on the table. Everybody be safe. And I just want to say again, on behalf of him, he's a little overwhelmed in case y'all hadn't
There's a
noticed.
lot of people.
He's used to doing seminars.
Like right here.
25 people right here.
Just lining folks up.
And he's just really, I'm telling you what, he's humbled is what it is. He's very humbled by the showing of support here. And we're very blessed to be in this room with all of you. So, look forward to watching the competitions tomorrow. Thank you again for having us over and rock on.
Yeah, I think that's a wrap, guys. Thank you so much. God bless everyone. This is amazing. Could not be happier to be here.
Ask if you have any questions, a couple questions.
Absolutely.
I have a competition tomorrow. So how to take load on my arm, how to prepare for a competition?
Okay, so I'm completely different than probably everyone else who's ever arm wrestled ever. I have not warmed up in the last 15 years. I go in completely cold, and I'll tell you why. Now, I'm not recommending this, especially if you don't do it. But for me, remember I told you it's mental? If I grab a hold of you to warm up and I feel any pain, I feel like mentally I won't try 100%. So I'd rather not know until I got that first go. So I go into weight training. I don't warm up. I just immediately start lifting. That's just like, okay, so and going back to work, right? If it's a job, do you go to your job tomorrow morning or Monday morning and you warm up before you start working? No, you go straight to work. That's the way that's the approach I've always taken.
Once again, we'll come back down. Let's ask one. Arpan, you can ask from up there.
First of all, sir, a huge welcome to India, and I would like to. Sir, it's from my core of the heart. Like I would like to congratulate Pro Panja League. Like because of him, it's like our dream come true to have you in our show. Sir, my question is: suppose, sir, I'm 16 weeks or 20 weeks out of my competition. And how should I prepare myself? Like, should I focus more on arm wrestling training, or like I need to do compound training also? So, and for like how many days should I take rest before the competition?
Okay, I'm going to answer that question how I would do it. And each person's different, and I'm going to preface this with two different things. If you've been arm wrestling a long time, you know how to arm wrestle, right? So arm wrestling does not necessarily have to be your primary focus leading into a competition. strength needs to be your primary focus. If you already know how to arm wrestle. If you're new to arm wrestling, you cannot get any better experience than you can being on the table. Because everything has to feel natural. Like, so much of arm wrestling outside of that ready, go, flash is about countering and making adjustments. So, if you're an experienced arm wrestler and all that is natural to you, then the main focus should be strength. Every elite arm wrestler that I know right now, if they're 4 months, 12 weeks, 16 weeks, whatever, out from a competition, they're not focusing on, except Devin. Devin will get on the table a lot. But everyone else just wants to be stronger and wants to beat their previous PRs because we all know how to arm wrestle. So it just depends on what level you're at. I'm a guy who I used to take 7 days off. I take 7 days and I don't do anything. When I say I don't do anything, I don't do anything. Now this last match with Todd Hutchins, and I started doing the powerlifting program, I did 2 days. I did Monday and Wednesday prior to the event on Saturday, where I did like 1 bench, 1 squat, 1 deadlift, 1 bench, 1 squat, 1 deadlift, 1 bench. And that's all it was, just so I could get my central nervous system firing. And it really worked for me, so I think I'll probably keep with that approach. But I try to do as little, I want to be as recovered as possible when it comes to competition day.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
We'll ask somebody here.
Hello, sir. So I want to ask 2 questions.
Okay.
My first question is, do you think the thumb of an arm does play an important role in arm wrestling?
I can't remember.
So, thumb does play an important role in arm wrestling?
Okay, so I'm not going to be the most technical guy who's going to answer your question about how important the thumb is.
So I can.
You can show me if you want.
It's like this. If I'm talking properly with the thumb.
Oh, you're talking about capping your thumb?
Yes.
Okay, so oftentimes I have chose not to cap my thumb. And the reason being, if I'm trying to reach around the back of your hand, and if I cover my thumb, let me see your hand. Okay, so they're not, just spin around. Maybe y'all can see this. If I cover my thumb, watch where my finger's at. See, I'm barely on the back of his hand. But if I don't cover my thumb, look where my finger's at. I have another contact point on the back of his hand. Now I can still top rope from here because I'm going to point my knuckles up, right? But oftentimes if I want to slip the grip, I will cap my thumb. It's a lot easier to pronate through someone's hand if you're capping. If you want height, I don't think you necessarily have to do it by capping your thumb. You can engage your riser by pushing your wrist down and raising your knuckles up. I have recently started getting back, even though I'm having less contact point, in the strap I've started capping. Like I capped against Todd Hutchins in the strap. In probably every match for the last decade in the strap, I haven't capped. But I'm also using the strap lower. I used to want a very tight strap because I felt like if the strap was really tight and I hit my pronation really hard, my wrist may go back, but so would my opponent's because the strap was so tight. My pronation would force your wrist to go backwards as well. Recently, I've gotten into matches where they would not allow me to have a tight strap. So I would try to engage my pronation. The strap would be loose. It would allow my opponent to get their cup, and I'd be underneath them. So I've now started to pull the strap lower down my forearm, cap my thumb, rise in the setup. A lot of the things that I've always just wanted to be the stronger guy. Like I just wanted to duct tape myself to the opponent and let the strongest guy win. Because of the way arm wrestling has gone and the way people have tried to figure out how to manipulate this setup or that setup, you kind of just have to play the game now. So the thumb can play an important role depending on how you want to do it.
Okay, the last 2 questions, one up there and one down here. Somebody else? Okay, this guy in the white t-shirt here.
Okay, first of all, Michael Todd, I congratulate on your win against Todd. Todd versus Todd was lovely.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Your King's move is unbelievable.
How about that press though?
Yeah, unbelievable. High press. Alright, so my question is, how can one work out every single day? Because from a biological perspective, you need to fill up those muscle tears with protein. questions. So can you just give me an insight on that?
Okay, so I'm not saying you can train like a bodybuilder every day, but you can train like a worker every day. A manual laborer, since we've all been in existence, did not take any days off. He just kept working because he had to plow the field or he had to do the work, right? All I'm asking you to do is do the work. Now, there's a separate side of that as well. How many people do we know, and I don't know if it's going to be the same here, but back in the States, your buddy goes into boot camp in the military, and he was tiny little chested, and he comes out and got this big old chest, and he did push-ups every day. Like, he didn't do push-ups today and then wait 4 days to do push-ups. They made him do push-ups every day. So clearly the body can adapt, right? Your body is much stronger than you give it credit for. So I believe the body, the human body, the harder you work it, the stronger it gets. I'm just asking you to put the work in.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you again. One last question here.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
If we talk about back pressure using our lats, many of the players around here use leg support to take a back pressure. Is that really useful?
Okay, so I do not use my legs, but I will tell you what I do use to increase my back pressure. How many people have leaned over to pick something up off the ground and it's somewhat difficult, but then they put their hand on something and went to pick it up and it was way easier? Show of hands. Everyone in existence ever, right? Okay, so this is my basic weight. All right, so come here real quick. You can set that down real quick. Okay, put your hand here. Apply back pressure, just normal back pressure. Just give me back pressure. Go ahead and apply back pressure. Okay, now push with that tag. Now, how much more back pressure did you just give me? 100%. This would almost increase your back pressure by 30%. Because it's an equal opposite, right? If I'm trying to pull you, I'm gonna flex my tricep, pull straight back. 100%. So many people are like, oh, they'll just set their hand on the peg like this and not use it. I'm like, this is the key to controlling the center of the table.
Yes.
Because if you were to go, like I said, if you were to pick something up off the ground, it's gonna be a lot easier to pick it up if you push and pick. So why would you not push the peg? Push against this peg.
You can push against this and use it as a practice.
Dude, so much more back pressure. You start that, you'll change everything. Huge difference.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so one last question? Okay, one last question.
I'm not saying you can't use your leg for back pressure. It's just your leg can get kicked down. Your leg can get knocked over. This is not going to get moved. And you actually have two contact points. Your hand and your abdomen. If you push your abdomen against the table, you can apply more back pressure. So you push here, and then pull. Because this is a contact point, this is a contact point. Yes.
Good evening, sir. Welcome, warm welcome to Gwalior. My question is to you, how many times we should train our arms through the week? First question is that, and second thing you were telling, you should be very strengthening in your ligament and in your tendon. But I believe tendon and ligament also need rest. If we are training every day tendon and ligament, is that any logic behind this?
Okay, I did not get the first question. I understand.
My first question, how many times we should train for arm wrestling? Like how many exercises we should do for arm wrestling?
How often should you train?
How often, right?
Okay, so arm wrestling specific exercises, if it's hand, wrist, and forearm, can be done daily, every single day. Now I'm going to tell you to answer your second question. If you train your tendons and your ligaments every single day, will they be stronger every day? No.
But when
you rest them for a week, they will be stronger. So it's the cumulative work and then the rest. When you don't train your tendons and ligaments, rest 3 days. Train your tendons and ligaments, rest 3 days. Because I go right back to that laborer, that hard-working laborer. He works every day. And so let's say he works every day for 6 weeks. That 7th week of work may not be his strongest week of work because his body broke down. But if you let him rest that week and come back on week 8, that dude's out working everybody because his body's healed. And it's like tempering steel. You know, you heat steel up, you pull it off. You heat steel up, you pull it off. Same thing with your tendons. You're just going to temper those tendons. over time, over time, over time.
And second question, sir. What intensity we should maintain for arm wrestling? Like high intensity workout, moderate intensity, or low intensity?
Okay, so that's another question. It's going to be your body type. What works best for you? Some people.
I have been training myself last 1 year. I'm maintaining my high intensity workout. If I keep continue doing high intensity workout in arm wrestling, then it really start hurting inside, and it really give me pain.
Yeah.
So for me, if I train arms throughout the week with high intensity, I really start hurting.
Okay.
So
my recommendation is to arm wrestle as much as possible, and then the next day do biceps. It's going to hurt really bad, but it's going to heal back. The blood heals damaged tissue. So I'm telling you, everyone that competes tomorrow and Sunday, if you only compete tomorrow, Sunday do biceps. If you compete tomorrow and Sunday, Monday do biceps. If you only compete Sunday, Monday do biceps. The very next day do biceps. I'm telling you, it's a huge difference.
One absolute last question, I think Mahasya. It's come there and Siddhant is going to ask for him.
So one last question is that if there is a very tight strap, if there is a very tight strap,
Really
the
tight
strap
strap.
matches. So which is more important we should have? So which is have more advantage, so back pressure or the finger pressure cupping like this?
Okay, so the question is, if you're in a really tight strap, which is more important, back pressure or finger pressure? And I'm going to answer that with another question. Which is the biggest muscle group? Exactly. So which one's going to fatigue faster?
Yeah, back pressure I think so that's
The back pressure is going to overdo the hand, right? So unless you have the strongest hand in the world, my back's going to beat your hand. So if I get a tight strap and I can pull in here, yeah. As long as I don't run out of elbow pad. And the other thing, so I'm going to show you all this one time. Most people here probably know, but you have a 7 by 7 inch elbow pad. If you and I are arm wrestling and I pull you to the back of the pad, I'm out of the pad, right? Like I have no more back pressure. But if I shove my elbow forward and then I pull 7 inches again, so now I have an extra 7 inches of back pressure. So I apply back pressure, and while I'm holding this pressure tight, I shove my elbow back to the front of the pad, readjust my hand, and then back pressure again. Does that make sense? Exactly. Yeah, perfect. So back pressure is the key, in my opinion.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Monster Michael Todd. What an amazing workshop. Come on. Big thank you.
And we must never forget the lady behind Monster Michael Todd, Rebecca, Mrs. Rebecca Todd.